Attorneys make mistakes all the time, but I think one of the biggest mistakes that attorneys make is leaving too soon. Like leaving law firms, not sticking with them, not learning from their mistakes, making kind of rash decisions with their career. The biggest thing in a large law firm is there's just a lot of competition for the jobs. Large law firms pay a lot of money, so because they pay a lot of money, they can afford to be selective, and they have a lot of people that want to work there. So whether you're a first, second, third, or fourth year attorney, there's always people lined up to replace you. Anytime a large law firm has an opening, they're going to get plenty of applicants for the positions. So you need to be the best to get a job, and you also need to be the best to keep it, because if you're not carrying your weight, they're going to let you go and find someone else that can do a better job and work harder. It's interesting because most attorneys, certainly not all of them, but the majority of attorneys that join large law firms will never make as much money, adjusted for inflation of course, ever again. It's the highest paid job, even as a first, second, or third year associate, that they'll ever have. If they go on to be a partner in a law firm, or they go on to be an important role in a general counsel or something along those lines, and they can make more, but most of them never do. The other thing I would say is, in addition to the income, most of them never work as prestigious of a law firm ever again. It's just very rare. You typically start out, the firm you get in out of law school is typically the most prestigious firm you'll work in, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there. In terms of attorneys that join the largest law firms when they get out of school, or they go to the largest law firms maybe 1 or 2 years after getting out of school and practice at a smaller firm first, the majority of them will not be practicing law ever again. They drop out of the practice of law, whereas attorneys that join smaller firms out of law school tend to be practicing more than 10 years out. I think there's that, but I also think what happens is they get psyched out. So the large law firm makes them not like the practice of law, because you have to think about what it's like working in a large law firm. A large law firm, you don't have a lot of client contact, so you're not working directly with the people for the most part that you're representing. And because you're not working directly with those people, the work is just kind of abstract in nature, and it's not as much fun. And you don't care about it as much because there's no person or business directly to care about. Whereas if you start in a smaller firm where you're representing people individually, it's more fun, and you have more responsibility, and you feel more connected, and you're not working these crazy hours. You're not always under threat of being fired and losing your job. So it's just a better job. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to working in a major law firm. The main one is, of course, income, prestige. The work tends to be from large clients that have large matters to work on that they can afford to pay their legal bills, and so you get to work in a lot more depth on matters than you might in a smaller law firm. They can afford to have very sophisticated research done and that sort of thing. So there's a lot to it. The first mistake I've seen them make, and I think is the most common mistake, is just getting psyched out and not staying with a law firm long enough to be made a partner. I mean, I remember I was at a dinner once, and an associate was kind of poking fun at a partner, saying, no one ever makes partner here. And he said, well, that's because everyone leaves. So a lot of people get psyched out. They get psyched out by bad performance reviews. Performance reviews are typically not very good your first to third year, and then after your third to sixth year, they are very good when you're profitable in a firm, and then after the sixth year, they start getting a little bad again. You may be given things to work on that you don't like and having to do those for a long time. You may believe that you can have a better lifestyle. You may get upset about a bonus. You might make a mistake and feel like your reputation suffered. You may be treated poorly by someone. You may feel like you're not liked. You may not have enough work. Or there might just be people that are better than you at their jobs, and that makes you feel intimidated, and so you leave. I mean, those are some of the main reasons. The second mistake that I think a lot of attorneys make is not billing enough hours. So you need to bill as many hours as you possibly can when you're in a firm. It's really the money that comes in from billable hours or the lifeblood of the firm, or what makes the firm run. So the number of hours you work tells the firm how hard you're willing to work. The more hours you bill, that means your work is being well received by your superiors. The number of hours you bill tells the firm how good you are getting work, how well you are liked by your clients, how you make others feel about themselves, and how open you are to learning. So there's just a lot of factors that go into billable hours, but the number of hours you bill isn't just a factor of how many hours you bill. A lot of times it's a factor of your performance, because you wouldn't have all this work to do unless you were doing a good job. The third mistake a lot of attorneys make is joining a branch office. A branch office isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can be a good thing. But the problem with branch offices is that the decision makers, the people that can make you partner or the people that have the access to the most work are typically in the main office of the firm. And so if you join a branch office, that can be problematical because you may not get the best work. And branch offices are also less stable. I mean, sometimes they're open just from one client, so that can be a problem. There are some very good branch offices of firms, and there's some branch offices that are even stronger than the main office a lot of times, but it just depends. But joining a branch office can be a big mistake because the office can get closed, you may never make partner there, and so forth. The fourth mistake that people make is sleeping with superiors in the office or getting involved with people at the office. Obviously, in the current climate with the Me Too movement and stuff and everything that's going on, you can see that it's not as common that it happens anymore. People lose their job just for sleeping with someone that they may have supervisory power over. But even people that sleep with peers in the office, that can create problems too. It just makes everyone uncomfortable. So it's better to really avoid it. The fifth mistake a lot of attorneys make is working as a contract attorney. And that's if you ever want to work in a large law firm again. The problem with working as a contract attorney is that it just gives the perception that you're willing to work for less money, that maybe you can't get a job as a permanent attorney, that you're willing to work on more menial tasks, which a lot of contract attorneys do, not all of them, of course. Also, the fact that you may not be interested in something permanent because contract attorneys typically are working on a contract. So there's that. And then the other problem of working as a contract attorney is your skills are generally going to deteriorate when you're doing that. And you're just not going to perform as well as you used to when you come out of doing that type of work. So that's a problem. A contract attorney means you're just working for an hourly rate for a firm. A lot of times you're working as an independent contractor and you're not considered a permanent employee. Another big mistake that attorneys make is just taking a lot of time off. In the legal profession, it's not considered a good thing to not be working as an attorney. Anytime you take more than a few weeks off, there's always a cause for concern. So you're supposed to have continuity in your career. So if you take too much time off, you're often going to be seen as lacking drive and commitment. People just don't like that. There's this thing where a lot of men will take paternity leave in law firms, and when they come back to work, a lot of times it's very difficult for them to get work, especially if they take several weeks off. Taking months off, it makes it very difficult for you to get a job. A lot of attorneys also will leave without another job lined up in a large law firm, and large law firms can be very selective in terms of the people that they hire. So if you leave a large law firm without another job in a big law firm lined up, there's going to be an employment gap on your resume, and other large law firms are not likely to hire you again. The reason is because they're going to assume that either you left for psychological reasons or something, or you were asked to leave, or just maybe that you don't want to work in a large law firm. But more often than not, they're going to assume that you were let go. So anytime there's something like that on your resume, it's not a good thing. And you can also see our other video where we go into more detail about that. The eighth mistake is just being caught being dishonest. Even a very small lie can not only get you fired, but sometimes it can get you blackballed in the whole region where you practice law. Trust is very important among attorneys, even though they talk about attorneys lying and so forth, and you can't trust them. In large law firms, it's something taken very seriously. I knew an attorney once that was in his 10th year of practice, and he was asked if he had sent a letter by an attorney when he came into work, and he said, yes, I sent it last night, and he hadn't sent it. And they found out by going into his computer or something and seeing when it had been written, and I don't know. But even though he was up for partner in the firm actually fired him just for lying. And I'm not saying just for lying, but I'm saying they fired him just for something that was pretty innocuous. I mean, no one was harmed. It wasn't, a bad thing, but the firm was very upset about it. The ninth mistake is speaking negatively about the people that you work for or even with sometimes. If you say negative things about the people that are giving you work and keeping you employed, it's often going to get back to them. A good percentage of the time it will. And depending on how negative the comments are, if it gets back to them, it can really do you a lot of harm. They will want to come back and get you, for saying negative things about them. So it's just not a good thing. If you say negative things about the people you work for, you're also going to be seen as disloyal, untrustworthy. They're not going to want to give you work, so you need to not do that. Another big thing is just not being visible in the office, not spending enough time there. Attorneys want to see other attorneys in the office. They want to be able to stop by their office and talk to them and ask them questions. Partners are expected to be in the office, associates are expected to be in the office, and even an associate working for a partner a lot of times is expected to be there before the partner is there. And the people just want to see you there, to believe you know you're hungry, you take your job seriously. It makes people feel respected if the people doing the work are there too. No, I mean, the main thing is, these 10 rules are very important to success for attorneys and for big firm attorneys. And so if you follow these rules, the odds are that you're going to last a long time in your firm and do well. And if you don't, your career may suffer.